Hello and welcome to the Better Humans Project podcast. I'm your host, Greg Pfeiffer. This episode is called It's So Funny We Don't Talk Anymore. And it's really strange when you stop to think about it. We live in an age of constant connection. Chats, messages, emails, comments, reactions, all flowing all the time. We're reachable everywhere, and yet many people feel more disconnected than ever. Not disconnected from information, but from each other. Many of us are having fewer real conversations than ever before. Not typed conversations, not curated conversations, but spoken ones. Face to face, voice to voice, human to human. Somewhere along the way, conversation became optional. And today, we're going to talk about what happens when we stop practicing one of the most human skills we have. So, we now live in a world where communication is constant, but conversation is declining. We've become incredibly efficient communicators. However, we chat instead of calling, we message instead of visiting, we email instead of talking it through. Online interaction is fast, convenient, and controllable. We can think before we respond, edit our words, avoid awkward moments, disappear when things feel uncomfortable. But conversation doesn't work that way. Real conversation is unscripted. It happens in real time. It requires attention, emotional presence, and vulnerability. And that's precisely why it matters. Because conversation is not just an information exchange, it's an emotional exchange. And as our lives fill with digital communication, conversation has slowly shifted from default to an option. Now, we often assume conversation is automatic, something humans just know how to do. But conversation is a skill. It requires listening without planning your reply, tolerating pauses and silence, reading facial expressions and body language, regulating emotional reactions, staying present without distraction. Now, these disabilities don't disappear overnight, but they do fade when they're not used. Just like a muscle weakens without movement, our capacity for conversation weakens without practice. When conversation is replaced by messaging, something subtle happens. We lose tolerance for pauses. We lose comfort with spontaneity. We lose the ability to sit with emotional ambiguity. We become less practiced at being fully present with another person. Not because we've become less caring, but because we've become less practiced. Online communication removes many of the risks that come with being face to face. There's no immediate feedback, no visible disappointment, no awkward silence hanging in the air. You get distance, control, time. You can curate your words. You can present the composed version of yourself. But with that safety, something is lost. Real conversation asks something else of you. It asks for authenticity. Because real conversation doesn't just exchange information, it exchanges emotion. It asks us to show up before we're fully ready, to speak without a script, to be seen as we are, not just as we present ourselves. And that can feel uncomfortable, but discomfort is often the doorway to connection. Now, digital tools are useful. They keep us connected across distance and time, but they can't fully replace what happens when two people share space. When we lose conversation, we lose more than words. we lose emotional calibration because a text cannot convey tone fully. An emoji cannot replicate eye contact. A reaction cannot replace shared silence. In person conversation allows for eye contact, tone, and rhythm of voice, micro expressions, shared silence, and emotional co regulation. Our nervous systems respond to each other. We adjust, we soften, we feel seen. And this is something digital communication cannot fully replicate. Not because technology is flawed, but because humans evolve for presence. When conversation becomes rare, it starts to feel harder, and people often notice increased social anxiety, discomfort with silence, fear of saying the wrong thing, and a difficulty initiating conversation. Now, this doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. It means the skill hasn't been exercised. And the longer it goes unused, the more intimidating it can feel. But the good news is that skills return quickly when practiced gently. There's a psychological reason conversation matters so much, and it's bigger than just being social. Human beings regulate emotion through connection. In psychology, this is called co regulation. Our nervous systems literally respond to the presence of another person. When we sit across from someone, make eye contact, hear tone and inflection, watch facial expressions, our brains are processing safety signals. Oxytocin increases, cortisol can decrease, heart rate steadies. We calm down not because we solved the problem, but because we weren't alone with it. Online communication doesn't fully activate that system. Text strips away tone. Messaging removes micro expressions. Even video calls flatten the subtle cues. And while digital interaction has its place, it doesn't give us the same embodied experience of being seen and heard. And there's also the cognitive side. Conversation helps us make meaning. When we speak our thoughts out loud, we organize them. We hear ourselves differently. Another person reflects, challenges, clarifies. This process strengthens emotional intelligence and perspective taking, two skills strongly linked to psychological well being. Without real time dialogue, we risk becoming more rigid in our thinking, more certain in our assumptions, and less practiced at navigating difference. In other words, conversation isn't just a social skill, it's a mental health practice. And like any practice, if we don't use it, it weakens. In person conversation offers benefits that go beyond that information exchange. It creates clarity, trust, belonging. It allows misunderstanding to be corrected immediately. And it allows emotion to be expressed safely. It allows connection to deepen. Real conversation reminds us that we are not alone inside our minds. We don't need to abandon technology, we just need to rebalance. The good news is this skill returns quickly when practiced. So here are a few simple ways to begin. Choose one call instead of a message. Have one conversation without multitasking. Ask an open question and listen fully. Let pauses exist without rushing to fill them. Make eye contact and put the phone away. Conversation doesn't require confidence, it requires willingness. As usual, I have a weekly challenge for you, and I invite you to have one intentional in person conversation, not transactional, not rushed, intentional. It could be with a friend, a partner, a colleague, a family member. Put your phone away. Be fully present. Notice how it feels. Not just to speak, but to be heard. As usual, there is a worksheet that accompanies this episode. If you choose to use the worksheet that accompanies this episode, approach it with curiosity, not judgment. This isn't about measuring how social you are. It's about noticing your habits. Find a quiet space, take 10 to 15 minutes, and answer honestly. And this worksheet is not about forcing yourself to become more outgoing. It's about gently rebuilding comfort with presence. You don't need to change everything. You just need to begin, one conversation at a time. So it's ironic, isn't it? We created tools to help us connect more easily, and in doing so, we simply forgot how to simply sit with another person and talk. Not to perform, not to impress, but to connect. Conversation isn't just something we do, it's something that shapes us. It reminds us that we exist not only as individuals, but as participants in each other's lives. And the good news is this: the ability to connect was never lost. It was only waiting to be practiced again. If you found this episode valuable, please share with somebody who might need to hear it or on your socials. If you want to reach out for more information or to share your story, you can email at contact@thebetterhumansproject.com. Until next time, let's keep building better humans together. Take care.